Yeah, and let's talk about this is some of what we're going to talk tomorrow night about on Flashpoint, because we were down there, I was sitting there eating dinner and listening to Dr. Shiva going, oh my gosh, this makes sense. He said something staggering that I admit I was wrong, when he was asking the people here in the room, how many of you think Big Pharma is making money versus how many think it's not making money? Well, nobody thought they were losing money,
right.
But the reality is they have been losing money. But a vaccine, if I understood this right, and Mary, you can correct me later, if a vaccine, you can't sue a vaccine. You can't sue the makers of a vaccine.
For negative side effects.
Right.
Not with the documents that they've signed off on in the government. And I think this was done with President Trump to expedite getting around the lawyers and the reluctance of the companies to take to risks. So, in a sense, I think Donald Trump was trying to fast track. Imagine where he was coming from. He's believing that there's a plague and that he's got to save his country. So he's fast tracking. He's firing up the weapons of industry. Well, the pharmaceuticals all get together and say, let's get rid of Trump. Let's do a deal with the Democrats. And they create vaccine. They have patents with the government.
Right.
Did
you hear that? Say that again.
Theft. They have the companies, the vaccines that we question in terms of purely the data of side effects and efficacy. They have patents in government with them. So if you've got a patent, then you actually now are in business with the pharmaceuticals. And there are individuals in the government who are shareholders in the vaccines with the pharmaceuticals, and therefore they're making money off of promoting it. This is exactly the kind of conflict of interest. So Robert Kennedy, of all things, and I didn't listen to Robert because he was always sounded to me like a left-wing kind of Democrat, But I'm listening to Robert Kennedy on this subject, and he is a remarkably congruent and compelling debater exposing. All he did was he said, I think we ought to look at the Wuhan lab and see if this came out of there. He was immediately taken off of Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. The big tech took him, and that was when I started thinking, wait a second, maybe he's one of us. Maybe he's one of the guys. And Gene, one more thought here. So many of these people we're listening to are the answer to the Christian's prayers. For those of you that are watching this that are people of faith, God raises up secular people so often as an answer to the prayer of the righteous, because these people that are here, that are on the front lines taking on the government, they're acknowledging providence and intervention of God, and they're not anti-God, but they're not here because they're Pentecostals.
Yes.
They're here because they see something right and wrong, and they're